That was a common Bengals W. Look at my light shining through my background. If you couldn't tell, I hastily added this. Let me fix this. Oh, there we go. I hastily switched to this background after my WWE Monday Night Raw review. This is Common Bengals W. I am Sean Ross Sapp. The Bengals snapped their 9-game preseason winless streak with a victory over the Washington Commanders. Of course, it's always good to win, and I'm happy that the Bengals won this preseason game. But there were some things that were figured out about the first team defense that are not very promising. They're not very good. They're quite frankly pretty horrifying, and it's time to get into them. So the Cincinnati Bengals also had some very good takeaways, but let's talk about what happened before the game. Word emerged this week that Trey Hendrickson and the Cincinnati Bengals things have not budged. Things have not changed with them. And the Bengals are pursuing trades. Now, I saw some people say, oh, I can't believe they wanted more than a third for Trey Hendrickson, which, by the way, the sack leader, Trey Hendrickson, not just Trey Hendrickson, but a lot of people were like, why would anybody give up more than a third? Well, you'd have to give up more than a third because the Bengals could just let him sit out this year. He leaves and they get a third-round compensation pick anyway. Because the Bengals aren't going to make some big splash in free agency or anything like that. Demon Diva, back-to-back SRS. Hey, look, her phone does work. But it is imperative to me that Trey Hendrickson signs with the Bengals, and I think it's going to happen. I remain optimistic, and I remain optimistic because of the word that emerged from before the game that the money is in place. The years are in place. The Bengals have put a good amount of money up there in order to sign Trey Hendrickson. It's just he is not happy with the guarantees. With the Bengals' hesitation being him being 30 years old. Now, quite frankly, I don't have a concern about Trey Hendrickson falling off over the next 3 years. I just don't. But the Bengals don't want to be stuck into a situation where they got this monster contract that is guaranteed. Get in your chats. I will read them. I understand on the Bengals' perspective, but I would like to know how far apart they are on guaranteed money. And the Bengals don't like to leak that information. They don't like to put that stuff out there. They like to play everything in-house, and I respect that they do that. As a guy who, in my day job, it's my job to find out leaked information, of which sometimes serves as an agenda for a company or a performer or an athlete. I understand that. So usually when these types of things emerge, I can tell where they're kind of coming from. Obviously, the Cincinnati Bengals have some inspiration to say, oh, okay, well, we're accepting some trades. They play out every contract. It's why they guarantee thing is even stupider. They don't play out every contract. They cut plenty of people. They were going to cut Joe Mixon last year, and then they ended up trading him. They cut a bunch of people. But Trey Hendrickson was there tonight. He did speak with Duke Tobin. And that is promising. And I think that what we have heard, despite the dramatics around the trade, I think is honestly pretty promising as well. I think that he gets signed. I don't think that he sits out. Let's get to these chats. Haywood Wong says, Sean, tell the truth. The Bengals were on the big screen. Raw was on the background, right? So I've got a 3-screen setup right here. Plus I got my phone. But I've got screen to my left, screen to my right. That's why, sometimes if you'll see me doing interviews with talent, you'll see me looking off to here. That's because I've got them on this screen. I don't have a screen that would facilitate me looking at the camera. I had people when I interviewed Eric Bischoff, I think it was Russo and some of his dorks that were like, he was being so disrespectful to Eric looking off camera. I don't see Eric Bischoff here. I can't see anything but the camera lens there. I can't see anything on the screen in front of me, to the left of me, or right of me. I see a gray wall. So usually what I have is I have OBS running in the middle. That way I can capture video of Raw if I need to. I'll have Raw on one screen, and I'll have whatever Monday Night Football has on the left screen. And there's a lot of downtime in football, so I can kind of pause, catch up, all that stuff. But traditionally, when Bengals play Monday Night Football, I just don't do the show. But tonight was a little bit different. Tim says a winner for Washington means something nowadays. Yeah, but it's preseason. Not trading Trey. I don't think they should trade him, Mary, unless they get like something too good to be true. I'm with you, Mary Jo. I'm with you. Did the Bengals get to interview Judon before he signed with Miami? Probably not. Probably not. Demon Diva says that was from my computer. Joke's on you. No comment. My dude Nick Charles says, "Let's go, my dude. Aloha. Would love to see you do with it. Sit down with Jeff Passan or Jeff Passan. Sometimes I read things like Ron Burgundy, but would love to see you do a sit down with Jeff Passan about WWE and how to break the news." I just want to say this. I love Jeff Passan. I really admire his work, even though I constantly mispronounce his name when I read it out loud. Same with Persephone. But I think that Jeff is just the absolute best. He has provided me with some useful advice in the past, which I greatly appreciate and admire, and is very important to me. But we talked a few times. We haven't talked in quite a while, like probably, gosh, man, I want to say like over a year or so. But we chatted here and there, and he's a great guy. He's a lovely guy, and somebody that I really, really admire in the journalism media space. From Diana Rossini, the money and years are there, just not the guaranteed. From Paul Daner's post, Burrow thinks that Hendrickson gets done closer to week 1. I do too. And it's just like every year it's something, right, Nick? Like every year there's an injury, or there's a holdout, or there's some contract discussion or something like that. There's always something. And they cost themselves like $15 million by not getting these deals done sooner. Imagine if they would have got T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Trey Hendrickson done as soon as possible. Then we could have spent $15 to $20 million on a guard, linebacker, corner. We're all in the game. We're on a commercial a lot at the same time, so no help for the in-between times. I would pause one and catch up on the other. So do they pick up O-line help, or like you said, corner help? So, Haywood Wong, I'm glad that you mentioned this, because I think it's going to be, well, it needs to be both. I think they're too stubborn to pick up corner help. I've been screaming for it since the preseason last year. They need a veteran corner. And there are good veteran corners out there. I think there's Douglas, there's Asante Samuel. They've got people out there. I think Simmons is still out there as a safety. There's some linebackers out there. There's some defensive ends. If Trey can't play, there are some defensive ends out there that aren't going to replicate Trey. Absolutely not. But that are decent. That's the benefit of NFL free agents. Like there are people that can fill in these gaps here and there. But Dalton Risner, of whom has said that he would like to play for the Bengals, is being brought in for a meeting Tuesday, is what I'll say. Tuesday. He played for the Vikings. He had like a 77 pass blocking grade last year. The run blocking grade wasn't great, but it was probably better than what we had. Let me see what Cordell Volson was last year. I probably need to get a PFF gimmick. Yeah, oof, man. Okay, Cordell Volson's run blocking grade was actually slightly better, but the pass blocking grade was absolute duty. His overall grade was 59. Dalton's was 67, so he was in the top third of offensive guards last year. And if you can be in the top third of offensive guards, I would take you on the Cincinnati Bengals team. I would be all too happy with that. Because what we are seeing out of Lucas Patrick is absolute clown behavior. Clown behavior. Dalton Risner also said that, like, I think it was in a TikTok comment or something like that, or maybe an Instagram comment, that he would love to play for the Bengals. And the Bengals have money. They've got the opportunity to spend. Obviously, they're saving it to see what they can front load with Trey and the contracts this year. But the reality is, when you watch this Bengals defense play, they need help, buddy. They need some real help. And I understand that they spent so much draft capital over the last 3 or 4 years on the secondary. And they did. They spent a lot because they thought, here's what we'll do. We'll let that Jesse Bates go, and we will just replace him in the aggregate by all these young guys, and one of them will hit. Well, as it turns out, none of them have hit. Cam Taylor-Britt looked like he hit, then he got exposed. He did some incredible stuff, then he got exposed. Dax Hill got moved around a lot, looked like he was a hit, tore his ACL. You got a lot of people out there, and I look at that and I'm like, man, how on earth do they feel comfortable with things the way they are? If I were them, I would be getting a safety, a corner, and a linebacker in a veteran capacity, if you could. All three of them. Logan Wilson does not look good right now. I think some people are overreacting, but he doesn't look good right now. I would like to see Njong Meta get more of an opportunity because that dude is hungry and has played really, really well. But my God, did the Bengals defense look horrible. Dalton Risner should have been brought in long ago. Do you believe the report that the Pats want Trey? Yeah, and they got a lot of cap space too. You try to trade for Kevon Thibodeau from the Giants. That pass rush, Abdul Carter, he does look like a beast. He does. Shane Moose, that was scary. I don't know what you mean there. Yep, they got $30 million in cap space. Oh, buddy, let's talk about this. Can we talk about how terrifying it was when Burrow ran around the backfield for 10 seconds? I get it and I don't get it. One, don't risk injury, but two, he's like, preseason, who gives a damn, right? Just go there and try to cook stuff up. The mere fact that he's able to run around the backfield for 10 seconds is a little bit promising to me, because 2 years ago, 3 seconds flat, he would have got mowed down. So there was at least some positive takeaway there for me, right? Call me T, says Rasul Douglas time. Listen, buddy. Bring in him and Asante Samuel. And quite frankly, probably both of them should be starting. Them letting Mike Hilton go, I was like, really? One of the best blitzing corners in the league? Sean, do you think this team is where the same spot where the Cowboys are with Jerry, just happy to own a team with a 10-win season and a playoff exit every year? Don't see us as serious. I do. Yes. I think that the Cincinnati Bengals front office and ownership is happy with giving the Bengals hope. And they know that as long as Joe Burrow is on that team, that the Cincinnati Bengals have hope and that their fans will at least be somewhat pacified, especially considering he already got us to a Super Bowl. Because he did what the last, 3-4 franchise quarterbacks couldn't do. Andy Dalton got us to the playoffs, not to a Super Bowl. Not to a playoff win. Carson Palmer and Kitna helped get the Bengals to the playoffs, not a playoff win. And people thought that it was possible. People thought that it was going to happen. Jeff Blake couldn't get it done. Don't even think he got into the playoffs, did he? The second go around with Boomer Esiason didn't get in there. So Joe Burrow did what nobody could do in 30 years. I think they're happy with us living with that hope. So offense looks solid. Return men continue to look good. Logan Wilson didn't look great. Jordan Battle didn't look great. You had Shaka Hayward get a tackle for loss, which I really loved seeing out of him. You saw Barrett Carter get a tackle for loss, which you love to see out of him. When Logan Wilson isn't looking good, and two linebackers end up getting tackles for loss, pretty happy with that. McKinley Jackson got one. Eric Gregory is probably not going to make the team, got one. But there was who had the pick? Or the near pick? Oh, it was Barrett Carter and Tyson Anderson. So Barrett Carter ended up coming out of this looking pretty good, I thought. 4th round pick this year. So there was a lot to like from him, especially when you got Logan Wilson looking iffy. Tyson Anderson getting a pick, also very good. But let's talk about the Bengals wide receiver situation right now. Oh my God. So, in the return situation, so Samaje Perine had a couple of 17-yard returns, whatever. Charlie Jones had a 30-yard return. Isaiah Williams had a 24-yard return. Then had a couple 14-yard punt returns. But Charlie Jones looked really good tonight. He's looked good all camp. So you've got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they're making the team. Yoshi Voss probably making the team. You got a big question mark around Jermaine Burton. What's going to happen with him? You got Charlie Jones, who is like trying to lead up to his hype or live up to his hype. And then you got Tinsley emerging and Joe Burrow going out there on TV and saying, yeah, Tinsley's been doing that like all camp. Really hope he makes the team. And he looked great, had an incredible touchdown. He had 2 touchdowns. Tinsley looked unbelievable. So what I could see them doing is taking all 6 of those, one being the return man, or one of them starting on IR. It wouldn't surprise me to see Jermaine Burton mysteriously end up on IR week 1. Tanner Hudson got targeted a lot. He couldn't catch worth a heck tonight. This didn't help him out. But Noah Fant and Gesicki are going to be the top 2 options. And this, I mean, if you got Tinsley playing the way that he is and Charlie Jones playing the way that he is, this is going to open up Gesicki to play traditional tight end a lot more. But the Bengals' ability to develop wide receivers is actually why I said, I don't know why they needed to bring back Gesicki on a big money deal like that. And I think they could have got him for a lot cheaper. But Joe wanted him, and now Joe wants Mitchell Tinsley. And Joe's smart. Joe knows what that does. Joe knows that bringing that up also is probably going to get him there. But a lot of great stuff there. So let's talk about the running back stuff. Kendall Milton didn't look great. Chase Brown did what he was supposed to. Samaje Perine just had like 1 carry, but Taj Brooks ended up with 11 carries for 47 yards, 4.3 a carry. A lot of that came with one specific run that went 14 yards, and it should have been like a 2-yard loss. And Taj Brooks just fought through it, bro. He fought through it and ended up turning it into a 14-yard gain. He also had 3 catches, which is something you're going to have to do as a Cincinnati Bengals running back. You are going to have to catch the ball because Joe Burrow loves doing that, and Zach Taylor loves to call those dumbass screenplays that he does not relent on early in the season. Oh, man. Also, Tyson Anderson had 2 pass deflections. Braylon Lux had 2 pass deflections. That was very good to see. That was good to see out of some of the corners as well. I think they ended up having like 8 pass deflections overall. But Jake Browning very clearly has like won the job as backup. You could tell that like last week it was a little bit more, little less clear cut. But whatever has happened in camp has made the Bengals significantly more comfortable with Jake Browning as the backup. But when you have Jake Browning, quite frankly, have an incredible year as a fill-in for Joe Burrow to the point to where they almost got into the playoffs. They had a winning season. Jake Browning led the league in completion percentage, which isn't hard to do when you're the Cincinnati Bengals and you've got who you've got. But you don't play at all last year. I think you do got to bring in some competition and do bring in some people that might make you go, oh, okay, well, we got to keep this guy sharp in some capacity. So got no problem with them bringing in Desmond Ridder to compete for that. I think he is a much better option and a much more competitive option than Logan Woodside as well. And I think that Jake Browning was all right tonight. He was like 16 for 25. He almost got picked a couple times. Like there were certainly a couple of situations where like things could have went really, really bad for Jake Browning, but he ended up completing 64% of his passes, throwing 2 touchdowns. And Joe Burrow went like 9 for 14 with a touchdown. Both of them got sacked. Joe's for 17 yards, which is insane. But I thought that Jake Browning looked the part. Guy that you feel comfortable with as a backup if something happens to Joe Burrow. So the Bengals play again Saturday. Let me see what time they play Saturday. That would almost certainly be like a nighttime game, right? Is that how they do these? Quick turnaround. Let's see. 1 p.m. Okay. So I will probably be live after that game. Maybe Mike can be a good blocker. Yeah. Drew, my dude Drew is here. Love seeing Drew here. Also, yeah, just excited about that. Excited about the afternoon football and wrestling. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So, guys, I will be live here more after games this season. I do not have season tickets anymore. I gave those up. I'll occasionally go to a game here and there, but it was taking a lot out of me to make those trips up there. So I'm going to hang out with you guys a little bit more. I will almost certainly be here after week 1 against the Browns. I'll be here for the Colts. All that. Drew said, I want to know who told Joe Burrow to keep doing a barrel roll instead of going down in the first quarter. That was horrifying. Horrifying. I'll tell you what's not horrifying. I posted a video on the channel of me bullying Cleveland Browns fans in the WWE. So Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae, Andy Hartwell. It is a good time. I hope you guys go check it out. Probably the most viewed video. And I see one big dumbass there saying, wow, flashing the guy's jersey who's asked for a trade. Typical SRS. Well, the jersey has my name on it, and the number 94 was actually Sam Hubbard's name. You big dumbass, or Sam Hubbard's number. You big dumbass. But it's also September 4th, 9-4, which is my anniversary. That's why I picked that number. Yeah. Excited to rush to that and leave that comment. But I'm so excited to have you all. Please subscribe to this channel. Until next time, my friends, we are out.